Good evening, everyone. I'm Dave Robinson. I'm the Democratic candidate for Congressional District 2. I am running against Joe Wilson, and I am trying to earn your vote this November 5th. I have put some information. I want to start off here. I put some information on social media. Some of the because of the storm and things like that. Some of the times on the ways to vote has changed. So we're going to correct some of those things on our social media platforms. But thank you so much for joining in with me this evening. I truly appreciate it. It's something I've been doing for this podcast I've been doing for the last several weeks. My goal is to be able to reach out to my future constituents. I really believe after this election, I will win, and that I will continue this podcast is something that will be part of who I am. A person to be able to speak with our constituents. One of the things I have learned since I've been living in the congressional district all my life, been born and raised here in Columbia, South Carolina. Like I tell many people, I've lived in congressional district 6 as well as 2 in my adult life. But what I have learned since I've been in congressional district 2 is the representation is not there for everyone in our district. So of course that's very very dear to me in my heart to make sure that I'm doing stuff like this to make sure that we're talking to constituents. A lot of times, people who's running for office or who's in office, a lot of times people come to them and say, "Hey, what would you do for me?" And we can tell you what we'd do for you, but at the same time, representatives need to know what the people want from them. And so, this is a way to be able to do that for the constituent to be able to reach out to me to tell me what you want to see in your representative, what matters to you, what you don't like and things that's happening in this country because it's not I'm running for out of South Carolina, I'm running for congressional district 2, but what we do in Congress affects the whole entire country. So again, we want to make sure that we're representing our district but also representing the country to make sure that we're implementing laws and legislation that benefits the people and not self-interest and not the banks. And so again, thank you so much for joining in with me. Again, I'm Dave Robinson. I'm Democratic candidate from Congressional District 2. To give you a little background by myself, again, born and raised here in South Carolina, Columbia, South Carolina, native, from a single parent home. I myself have been a single parent, opened up a business into truck driving, gave that business up when I joined the military because I know the military at the time in Iraq needed truck drivers. So I decided to do so. I served my country, did get injured in the process in Afghanistan, but ended my career quickly. But the thing is, hey, look, once I raised my right hand, it's something that I feel for the rest of our life. What we do as military folks and with anybody who come into service is that we're doing this for life. We're defending our Constitution, our way of life, and to make sure that it's something that's continuing and not just something that you do when you raise your right hand and you retire out the military, for instance. It's a lifelong thing. I've just been fortunate to be able to lend my hand to service again. Something that you're doing, you're representing something bigger than yourself. And so this run for congressional office has given me another opportunity to serve our people in our country. So again, thank you so much for joining in. I'm talking about today. I've been talking about quality, lowering our healthcare and prescription costs. I have been going through 5 bullet points. I'm gonna put it up on the screen here. I started off with defending democracy, and then I have done protecting women's reproductive rights. Last week I did providing quality education in every zip code. And so today I will be talking about lowering healthcare and prescription costs. Next week, of course, I'll be speaking about the safeguarding of our infrastructure. That is something very uh, timely right now. What happened with the storm that just passed in Helene. I've just heard one of the legislators the other day speaking on a press conference, speaking about how he's blaming the storm itself on the failing infrastructure in our state. And I've been pushing, and I'm still going to push that we should have the technologies available and safeguard our infrastructure. And those things are simple things that could have been done a long time ago, like burying these power lines. Every time I look at power lines, I think about back in the days I see on television, back in the days when they had the telegraph, when they were tapping on the thing and sending messages to each other from one town to another. They're still utilizing telephone poles. It's an ugly cosmetic to me, but one of the biggest parts is that things like what happened with the storm, for instance, caused a lot of electricity to go out when these trees hit those power lines, and then the crews cannot get to these families fast enough that putting people's lives in jeopardy, especially those, again, to go back to what we're talking about today. What's going to be the topic is providing is lowering healthcare and prescription costs, but also in the whole realm of healthcare. Because if somebody don't have electricity, they need these monitors, whether for CPAP machines to heart monitors, you name it. They need their electricity. So want to make sure that our infrastructure is being safe. So again, going to lowering healthcare and prescription costs. I again, a person like myself, being a veteran, knows the importance of cost, and also when being a single parent, I have one of the things that was very helpful in deciding to join the military as well is providing health care for my children. I've been a single parent at one point, and just the thoughts of sometimes where you're going to provide health care for your child, with the money, being able to send them to the doctor or trying to do things at home versus paying a bill, for instance. And it's for a family, it's hard when you're taking care of your children and you have to worry about the cost of healthcare, and it's expensive. And these companies, they're making bank and making a whole lot of money off people's health and things like that. So again, I want to talk about a lot of that tonight. And I want to really, really hope that many of you come into the chat section and you have questions and things like that, to be able to ask some of these questions. So put in the chat. I see Latoria. Thanks so much. I see you there on the Instagram side. Thanks so much. And I really appreciate you and your mother and your dad. So every time I see you, I really appreciate your support, whether it's for my son and also my congressional run. So I really appreciate you and your family. I love y'all very much. And also for those who are on the Instagram, well, on the Facebook and YouTube and also the X. Those who are watching right now, thank you so much. I really appreciate you joining in. And again, I can't put those on Instagram on the screen, but I can put the rest of you on the screen if you have any questions, you want to make any comments and things like that. So, all right, I'm going to jump right on into it. Yes, right here. I do want to talk about a few things. We have VP Kamala Harris is running for office now. She's running to be president, and one of the things is when you're running for office, and you have someone that will definitely defend our democracy, preserve our constitution. I want to start right here. We have differences in policies. People do. When I say Republicans and Democrats have different in policies, but at the same time, we definitely know that we're, first of all, Americans first, right? Over party. And so what I'm saying is, in the climate that we have now, just living in the length of time I have lived in this country, I have not seen so much separation. It's almost like I'm just a Republican and that's just it. I'm a Democrat. That's it. We have our policy difference, but like I'm saying, I remember back when I was really dissatisfied with the Bush administration. I'll use that example when I was driving trucks. And I saw the way the gas prices shot up. We have never been down to $1 a gallon since President Bush came into office. The second one, the younger Bush, and though the policies was there and it was wrecking the country, and we went through a great recession and everything. I have never in my mind thought that he would try to overthrow the government and things like that. We didn't see the kind of discourse that we see now, almost like the Bloods and the Crips. I wear my red and I wear my blue, and we're fighting amongst each other. I never seen those type things until I want to say that one person's name until he became president, and we start seeing these kind of things where people refusing to see the benefits of their own, things they need for themselves, and that we can come together, whether you're a Democrat or Republican, and really work together and get some solutions to these problems that we have. So I'm saying all of that to say that though I am a Democrat, I believe in democratic values. There are some policies that I believe in that will help the American people. It's a genuine field for me. It's something that, just like serving the country, you don't go out to try to harm other Americans. You try to go out and serve Americans. So, of course, when I see those policies that I feel are beneficial to our country, those are what I stand behind. Like the ACH. I stand behind the ACH, Affordable Care Act, because now millions people who could not have insurance in the past now have it. I have a child with asthma. When I was a single parent, would never be covered other in the past when you don't have the ACH there to help you get insurance for your child with asthma. So again, again, I really know when things are really helping people. So that's what I would like to stand behind, especially when it happen our Americans and our citizens in our states. So to go back to this, Kamala, of course, the Biden Harris administration have produced a lot of things. We had President Obama first with ACH, but to piggyback on that, the Biden Harris has been putting some things in place that we definitely enjoy now. Like I said, I want to make sure and it comes in terms of healthcare is where I'm going. And so I want to put this back on the screen. When we're talking about healthcare, we definitely want to make sure we're doing everything. So I'll say back in Kamala, for those who definitely would be voting for Kamala Harris, for instance, and believe in the policies that she have. Just like I say, keeping the Affordable Care Act and capping the insulin costs, and then going further than that to try to make sure that because again, we want to make sure we're back in certain policies. But again, Kamala, she cannot do it alone. If she become president, she cannot implement these policies. She cannot do these alone because it takes the act of Congress. Congress has the purse. We have to create the laws. And so, of course, we want to make sure we have representatives and senators that will be in place to make sure these policies are being implemented. So again, to make sure we're safeguarding and protecting our basic rights, and our basic right is healthcare. Make sure we're protecting those. So again, we're gonna go back here, and I want to explain that reason why I put this here back in Kamala. Medicare drug price negotiation. For the first time, Medicare is able to negotiate drug prices, which will save seniors and other beneficiaries $1.5 billion out of pocket, costs starting in 2026. The Biden Harris administration aims to negotiate prices on up to 20 drugs annually, further reducing costs of life-saving treatments like those of heart disease, cancer, and diabetes. $35, and we already know about the $35 insulin cap. The Inflation Reduction Act, which Harris helped pass, has capped insulin costs at $35 per month for Medicare beneficiaries, providing critical relief to millions of Americans. And when I hear she says also that she's not stopping there, she's definitely going to make sure that we're going to bring other drugs into that process as well. $2,000 cap on out of the pocket costs starting in 2025. The out of pocket costs for prescription drugs under Medicare would be capped at $2,000 annually. That is a big deal for those who really, really need to get savings, who really, really depending on medicine, benefiting nearly 19 million Americans, saving them an average of $400 a month. That is a big deal. That's a big deal because with the inflation and things like that, is that we're really going to be working on hard when I get in Congress, working on hard to make sure that we're getting those things, to keep it in control and get it under control. I tell you what, that's a big deal for families who are taking care. Like I said, it was for me being a single parent, like my mother and some of many of you. And these families who are relying on medications. Some of our senior citizens. We have the baby booming age. We have those who are utilizing medication. We want to make sure we're saving them money as well. So again, this to me is a great big deal. Also, preventing drugs price increases. The Biden Harris administration Inflation Reduction Act also requires drug manufacturers to pay rebates if they raise drugs prices faster than inflation, putting pressure on companies to keep prices down. Expanding access to affordable therapies. Efforts include expanding access to new cell and gene therapies for serious conditions like sickle cell disease, and lowering health care costs for vulnerable populations through Medicare and Medicaid programs. These steps will make healthcare more affordable, to and accessible to Americans. Also, the need of the healthcare benefits of not allowing insurance, the need of healthcare benefits of not allowing healthcare companies, now insurance companies, to choose profit over coverage. Now, we already there to know. We already know how the pharmaceuticals and also the healthcare insurance companies making bank record money. Say from COVID to you name it. But people are getting sicker and they are getting richer. So we want to make sure that we're doing everything we can to make sure that everybody can afford healthcare. Ensuring access to coverage for all. People with pre-existing conditions like such as diabetes, cancer, or asthma can no longer be denied health insurance, ensuring they receive the care they need without fear of losing coverage. Prevents discriminations. It eliminates discrimination based on health history, creating a more equitable system where everyone has the same opportunity to get insurance regardless of their past health issues. Reduce financial burdens. Again, this is very helpful to a single parent as well. Guaranteed coverage protect individuals from catastrophic health care costs associated with managing chronic conditions. These also reduces likelihood of medical bankruptcies. Promotes early detection and prevention care with guaranteed coverage. People are more likely to seek preventive care and early treatment, which can lead to better health outcomes and reduce the overall health care costs in the long run. And I want to put in real quick with that. Um, I've been getting things in the letter in the mail and things like when you go pre-screen for cancers and things like that. And I saw it on one of the NFL. Finally was able to watch a game that I really wanted to watch, and they had on the NFLs about getting early treatment and early detection for cancer, for instance, right? And a lot of people would hesitate on going to doctors and things like that to get themselves pre-screened to make sure you're okay, especially when you have those type things in your medical history, your family. Back in the past, insurance companies can deny you of that because it's in your family, or raise your rates because of things like that. So, um, and what I'm saying is, that saves lives when people have the freeness to feel, hey, look, I'm gonna check out my body, make sure that everything's okay, I'm in good health and top shape, and I can keep going for X amount of years. Just have that peace of mind as well. So again, knowing is saves a whole lot of lives, and this benefit it definitely helps with that. Promote early detection. Support mental health and emotional well-being. Now, knowing that they won't be denied coverage based on their health status, uh, their health status provides individual with peace of mind and reduce the stress associated with managing chronic or serious health conditions. These protections, which were solidified under the Affordable Care Act, and has been crucial in saving lives. So again, I really, really want us to keep that in mind. And this is how the Affordable Care Act it can also help with veterans. Being a veteran myself, I have seen a lot of veterans with issues that happen when we go come back from war, serving our country. Some veterans are exposed to things like Agent Orange and other things, elements that we had to deal with when we went out deployed. Like when I was deployed, I was exposed to fire pits, fire pits, for instance, and a lot of illness and things that comes from that later on in the years. Also, we want to make sure that veterans are receiving the care that we deserve as well, and protecting that for those who are serving the country, those who put their life on in the front line, so all of us can sleep at night. So again, the ACH Act for the veterans, the key ways the Affordable Care Act helps veterans, improves access to health insurance. The ACA provides veterans who are not eligible for VA healthcare access to affordable health insurance through the health insurance marketplace. This ensures that more veterans have coverage options regardless of their VA eligibility. Okay, expands Medicare. The ACA is expanded. I want to back up a little bit, but I think every veteran should receive these benefits equally. But we'll talk about that some other time. Expand Medicare. The ACA expanded Medicare eligibility for low-income veterans in states that accepted the expansion, that accept. And I want to make sure we're marking this part, and you guys hear this part. Expand Medicaid. This for veterans. Expand Medicaid. The ACA expanded. This what the ACA have done: expanded Medicaid eligibility for low-income veterans. Now, I want you guys to keep that in mind. Eligibility eligibility for low-income veterans in states that accept the expansion. Remember this: it's got to be in states that accepted the expansions, helping veterans access necessary health care services. Guaranteed coverage for pre-existing conditions. Veterans who may have service-related or other health issues are protected from being denied coverage due to pre-existing condition, ensuring they receive the care they need, allowing coverage for families. The ACA allows veterans to keep their children on their health care insurance until they are 25, ensuring their families have access to health coverage even if the child do not have their own insurance. No lifetime limits of care. Veterans and their families are no longer subject to lifetime or annual limits on healthcare coverage, providing them with greater financial security in managing long-term health issues. These provisions help fill gaps in coverage and ensure that veterans and their families have access to the health care they need. And I say that I'll say that for a reason, because I wanted to point out some things that I would be going forward with later, so you guys can follow along with that. We're going to talk about Joe Wilson, and I'm throwing that in because, see, Joe Wilson is the person that I'll be running up against. He's a 23-year incumbent, been in this seat for 23 years. And I often like to say, if in anything, he could say what he wants to today. He gave you a record of what he had done for 23 years. And what I'm saying is, you can't expect something different if you haven't seen a change. Since he's been in office, I haven't seen him ever come in my district, when I'm my part of the district. Never visit our community. Just for running for office, it's another testament to that. Just for running for office. And I want to back up, because when I in Congressional District 2, as an adult raising my children, I have never seen him into some of the school meetings I had to go to for my children, to the community meetings, community events. And when I say my community, I would not say what he haven't done for the district in the different areas of the district, but I just know in our community, you wouldn't even hear of a Joe Wilson. And I know when I was, before, when my son went missing, I ended up deciding to run for office here. I didn't know who Joe Wilson was. Somebody had to remind me, say, hey, he's that guy that called President Obama. And this somebody out in West, and this person lived out in California. Joe Wilson is the guy that called President Obama a liar and say the unit address. And more for them, especially a veteran, we look at, look, the office of a presidency is, you have to respect the office. You may not like the person, but you definitely have to respect the office, right? And with that disrespect in the State of the Union, it would have been something outside of that event, like they do in public. Hey, you say what you want to say on the news coverage and things like that. But when you're doing it in the sight of Congress, in the halls of Congress, that was a disrespect and embarrassed our state as well. People don't stop talking about that. I mean, no matter where I go, people keep talking about that. So that's the only reason why I knew who he was, running for office, and they say, hey, this is the guy that I'm actually running against. And even now, the guy's still showing me, even as a constituent, before being in office here, that I'm going to win. He showed me again who he is, in my opinion. And that was a person that did not show up for communities he thinks is important, that should be important. And the reason why I say that, because since I've been running in the primaries, and as well as now, outside the primary, there were two events by the NAACP that invited Joe Wilson out there to a forum, just to talk to the community, to tell us what he's about, what he's running, He's also running for office. What he's about. He didn't even bother to come to either one of those, because the way I take it as a Black American, we don't matter to him. He don't need our votes. We don't matter. Our opinions don't matter, and it's evident when I ride past his office. I didn't know it at the time. You guys can go visit if you want to. I was out there on Sunset Boulevard area, just riding along the road with my campaign signs on my vehicle. And the first thing I was doing was giving out flyers and to let everybody know I'm running, running for office. And I kept passing this one place, and I thought it was a little house, but it was this placard with Donald Trump flags and his I mean, big sign. And I was always passed by this place all the time. I said that person really loved Trump, and one person really loved Trump, and I was wondering how this person could even get in the front door. It had so much stuff plastered all over it, just Trump, 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 Trump. So somebody told me, said, no, that's Joe Wilson's office. And that was very offensive. It's very offensive because Joe Wilson do not represent Donald Trump. First of all, he represents Congressional District 2. He represents me. He represents you. He represents everybody, the people that don't vote for him and those who vote for him. He represents everybody in the district, and he's not showing that. So he's showing who he just represents as one person, and that's not indicative of what South Carolina need. If you're gonna make a vote, you vote for things that is representative of your district. Hey, look, we need a hate crimes bill in our district, I mean, in our state. He voted against that. We're one of the only two states in the whole country that don't have a hate crime bill, and he voted against it. The Affordable Care Act that we're talking about right now, he voted against that. So I want to talk about that real quick, and we're going to go into that. And I have to go on that because, again, this is who I'm running against. Joe Wilson, Representative Joe Wilson from South Carolina has consistently voted against the Affordable Care Act, including provisions that expanded Medicaid eligibility. His opposition is aligned with most Republican lawmakers who have sought to repeal the ACA and its Medicaid expansion, which was designed to help low income individuals, including veterans. And that's why I wanted you guys to remember that, including veterans, access to health care services. South Carolina remains one of the states that has not adopted Medicaid expansion, leaving many individuals without access to the affordable care. And so, again, I wanted to point out parts of that because again, you're representing an entire state. You're not just for your party. And also, I want to make sure everybody understand if you're a Republican or a conservative, independent, or even a Democrat that really listen to what I'm saying right now. If you want to look at all the issues when it comes to things like that here in South Carolina, you cannot say the Democrats done it. We have not have been in control of the state house here in the state, and for I think since the '90s, and so anything that passed in that building for our state on the state level, you got to blame the Republicans. This is a Republican state, meaning that people we have the numbers to make it a Democratic state, or at least make it 50-50. People, if we go out to the polls and actually vote, and we actually get people who don't believe in voting actually to go out and vote, we can change some things in the legislature down in the state house and things like that. But as it stands right now, yes, the Republicans have been in control a long time. So if there's any things, the issues and things you see where the cost of this going up, you cannot blame a Democrat for that because don't have no power. Again, when it comes to the ACA, it's the same thing. We see the voting history. You see, the voting history is not indicative of everybody in the district and everybody in the state. I don't know who's your representative. If you listen to me, you're not in Congressional District 2. But if it's a Republican, it's not indicative of the state. It's indicative of a party. If Trump say this, for instance, that's what they do. It's not about what my state need at this moment. Not just for if it's Democrat or Republican. It's something that we definitely need. So we need this expansion. We need these things. So again, when you're voting against the interests of the people and making sure that we are all covered, that is a problem. So again, South Carolina remains one of the states that has not adopted Medicaid expansion, leaving many individuals without access to affordable health care coverage. Joe Wilson, again, voting history in South Carolina CD2 health, Medicare, and Medicaid funding reductions. Wilson has repeatedly backed Republican budget proposals that called for cuts in Medicaid and changes in Medicare. For those who love their Medicaid, and they need it on Medicare, and I know a lot of senior citizens are dependent on it. Joe Wilson has voted to cut it, such as introduction to voucher programs or block grants, which could lead to reduced funding for these programs over time. These cuts would disproportionately affect low-income families, children, the elderly, and people with disabilities who rely on Medicaid. And I can tell you, the people that is speaking of is people that come from communities like I grew up in South Carolina in Congressional District 2. So we see that again, if he when he don't show up to the NAACP meetings and hear what that part of the district needs, this is why he vote the way he does, because he do not show that kind of care of those. It depends on where you live. Whatever your zip code is what your representation will be. Again, Medicare Prescription Drugs Improvement and Modernization Act 2023. While Wilson supported this act, which created Medicare Part D, a prescription drug benefit for seniors, he later shifted to oppose healthcare related expenditures when they involve significant federal outlays. His stance on public funds for healthcare generally emphasizes limiting government spending on reducing public health care programs. In summary, Wilson's voting record consistently opposes federal health care programs like the ACA and Medicare expansion. He believes limiting government involvement in healthcare and promoting private private market solutions. And again, for me, private market solution, we always know what happens when the private market get into ownership of our healthcare. We already seeing the attack of the same when it comes to VA benefits, VA healthcare, trying to privatize the healthcare system of VA. And I'm definitely a representative that would stand up against privatizing veterans for money, for hire. We're not veterans, not for hire. We did not serve the country to make profit for companies like what they're voting for here. So again, I will stand in that gap to make sure that don't happen. His position has significantly implications for the healthcare access of low-income individuals, veterans, and those with pre-existing conditions. So I just wanted to make sure I point out those facts or some of those things. So we need to go back and you can look at some of the further even details of the voting history. But again, healthcare is very important and for everybody's healthcare. It's important for our state. When we have a healthy economy, the healthy America, we have a healthy economy. We're keeping more people who could want to be able to work and do things for to move the country forward, and also to promote our economy. We need healthy Americans. So to be able to have those access to be able to get yourself checked out early detection and things like that. And early detection saves lives. And also early detection means that you be less likely to be on medications for a long length of time again. So everything works together, but we definitely have to fight for those things and make sure we're fighting for our lowering of our healthcare costs and lowering our prescription costs. Because one thing for sure, it's a right for us to have health care in this country. I wish I could see anybody have any comments or suggestions, and then after that, I will be jumping off. I don't see it, but thank you again, Latoria, and I think I see Kiara. Thanks so much for being here on the Instagram side, and for those who again come along on the other sides as well. So thank you again. I'm David Robinson. I'm the Democratic candidate, and I want to say it right here. I put this up, and I'm kind of hesitant on putting on how to vote here. This is some of the information that I had about the voting, and I just know I think they did some changes on this, but whatever the parts that is still true, you guys have. I'm going to say this here. You have the absentee vote. You can look into the early voting that will be from October 21st, I believe, to if they didn't change that one to November 2nd. And also the election day definitely is not changing. That is November the 5th. And also you can go to scvotes.gov. You can go to votescblue.com for more information about your voting. Now, I can tell you also with everything said about voting, there are positions of people who will try their best to get you off that voting list. So make sure you check your registration and make sure you check that you're still there, because I've been counting on it. I just go up to. I already know I go every time I vote. I vote on every election. I go to the same place every time, and I just go there with my ID, and I don't even think about it. Go think about checking because I've been doing it so long. but you need to check it anyway to make sure that you haven't been somehow bumped off your registration. So make sure you check your registration often, and make sure that you're good to go on election day. And but I hope I win your vote. I really want to work for the people. Again, this what this whole forum is about. Some things you hear me say, that's my position. At the same time, I would like to hear what your thoughts are. And as a candidate, I will definitely be listening to my constituents. And so again, I would like to know what the constituents will be saying. So again, this will be every Friday, 8:30 p.m. And I hope to keep this going past the election after I win. And so that way we can talk. And again, of course, the offices and things like that, but definitely one-on-one with constituents, I think, is a lot better. So again, thank you for listening in. David Robinson, I'm the Democratic candidate for Congressional District 2. I hope you all have a wonderful weekend with your family, if you can, your friends, and see you on next Thursday. So thank you again. You all have a blessed night. My name is David Robinson. I'm a proud son of Columbia, South Carolina. I was raised on the Southern values of faith, family, and treating others as you would like to be treated. I believe in the power of a handshake and the strength of one's word. As a single parent, I faced the challenges of making ends meet firsthand. When I heard the call to serve, I knew I had to act. I served my country where I learned that we are all in this together, regardless of race, color, or politics. Whether it was in Afghanistan or Arizona, I saw the power of cooperation. Now, I'm ready to bring that same spirit to Washington. Our nation's future depends on our ability to work together and focus on the bread and butter issues that matter most to everyday Americans, not sowing seeds of division. This November, when you cast your ballots, remember, it's about more than just politics. It's about sending someone who would truly represent all South Carolinians. I am David Robinson, and I approve this message.